the setup menu. This is where you go in and make adjustments for everything in the system. Pretty important, and you're going to spend a little bit of time here. Something else that's cool, they also have help files on the majority of the menu screens, and so comes in here and explains a lot of these things. So that's a new feature. We like that. All right. This allows you to make adjustments and changes for your system and allows you to control certain things. You can set up your maps. Right now, I've only got 2 maps active, but if you have other map cards in, that's where you control that. On your tracked devices, you can make some settings here as far as showing tracking on handhelds, your dog display. You have the ability to set this up the way that you want it. You want to have distances, but you don't want to show the dog's names. If you have a lost dog, you can have a timer on it. It'll tell you how long that dog has been lost. So several things here. On the indicator, you can have status or direction. Okay. So that's just kind of how you customize that. This is a cool thing to look at too. Anytime you're messing with a menu section and you make some changes to it, pretty much all of them have a restore default, and that's going to take you back to the way it is when it comes out of the box. So kind of handy if you're like me and you like to mess with stuff, but then you want it back to the way it was. Several things here. You can also get to this information from the map menu. All right, let's go back over to here. Display. Okay, you got a couple of different things here. The handheld is a bit of a battery hog, and so there's some things that you can do that will help you save the battery if you're not looking at the screen all the time. So you have a couple of things. First off, you have your backlight timeout. I've got mine set to stay on right now all the time, so it's going to be eating batteries doing that. I don't generally leave mine that way. The only reason we're doing it right now is because we're filming. So put it in a 15-second mode. After 15 seconds of no screen activity, and that includes pressing your buttons or pressing the touch screen, the unit's going to drop the backlight out. Let's see if we can see that right here. All right. So you'll notice that it went completely dark. That's because we have the battery save on. Now, if we cut the battery save off, the unit's going to stay on, but the screen's just going to go off. Give it a quick second here. All right, so that's what a normal backlight timeout is going to look like. Okay, and then all you have to do is touch the screen, and it comes back on. Okay, but if you set it in battery save mode, okay, now with the backlight timeout, it's going to shut the screen down completely. Still tracking, still working, it's just cut the screen off, which that's the main battery hog on this unit. And so it's going to make your unit last a lot longer on a single charge. So now it looks like the unit's off, but all you have to do is just quick press and release on the power button and it comes back up. So, so if you're hunting all day, that's a really good way to go. I haven't done a full battery test on this one, but you know, typically you can get a full day out of an Alpha battery, but depends on what a full day is for you. You know, when I'm running, typically I'm going to have a 10 to 12 hour time period that I'm going to be trying to get out of it, and you generally can get a good bit more than that. But some of it depends on how you manage that battery, and so so using the system where you're taking advantage of any time that you can save power on it. If you're not, you know, if you're moving from spot to spot and you want to cut the unit off, that's fine. But the simpler thing to do is to have it set up in the power save mode and have your backlight turn off. And that way, when you're not looking at the unit, if it's just attached to you and you're not doing anything with it, still tracking, it's just the screen's powered down, and that way it's not eating up on your battery. So that's a really cool feature that we haven't had in any of the units before. So that's kind of neat. All right, I'm going to go back to stays on, and I'm going to cut the battery save off. Now, appearance is a whole nother area here. When the GPS unit has the sunset time on it, once it gets dark, it changes the colors of both the day screen and the night screen, depending on what time the GPS says it is. And what that's good for is it's just easier. Some colors are easier for some folks to see. And so you may want to go in and make adjustments to that depending on if you're running at night or if you know, if you're having trouble seeing something, this is where you go in and do it. And then it's got a mode set up for it. And so you can, you know, I've got mine set on auto, so at night it switches over. All right. Screen capture allows you to save screenshots, and then it puts them into a folder, and you can download those onto your computer. Something's cool on there, you want to save it for later, it's an option to use. We use it for taking, you know, screen images that we put on the website. Not a lot of use for your average user. All right, and then we have a few things on accessibility here. You can change the touch sensitivity on the screen. It's going to come out as normal, but they do have a glove setting. And then you also have your text and your scroll controls. That allows you to change the way that you interact with the touch screen. That's one of those things that you just need to spend a little time with it and see if you like it. All right. Something else that's cool, they also have help files on the majority of the menu screens. And so comes in here and explains a lot of these things. So that's a new feature. We like that. Not only does this unit have Wi-Fi, it also has Bluetooth. The most important part of that is that there is a Garmin app now that you can use. And if you set it up with your phone, you can see things on your phone that your handheld's doing. That's kind of cool. We'll talk about that. It's called Garmin Explorer. Wi-Fi. Okay. So this is new, and this is super cool. Your Alpha 200i is Wi-Fi compatible. Right now, you can use that to download bird's eye imagery. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. In the future, we hope to be able to get your software version here. You can add a network. My unit is up to date, but there's going to be the ability to update your unit over your Wi-Fi. You will not have to plug it in and use a computer. It's pretty cool. Tones and alerts. So, one of the issues that some of us have, and older users especially, have a hard time hearing some of the alerts. You have lots of different options here. You can do tone and vibration. So it's going to make a sound, and the unit will also vibrate. You can change that if you want to. You can make it where it's tone only. You can make it where it's vibration only. And you can cut it off completely. I like both. Here's the part that is really cool though. You can change the sound. So right here, I'm on the message beep. You can go through, and they have, 19 different sounds. And you can go in and hear each one of them. So go in, find one that you like. Mine keeps changing back to 12. I want it on 7. Tone 7, hit your check mark. Now you're on tone 7. Next, under setup, under tones and alerts, we have key beep. So you have buttons across the top, and you have your side keys. And the key beep, every time you press a button, you hear that? So I'm not a fan. So you can pick it, or you can cut it off. All right, dog alerts. So on point, I have tone and vibrate. You have also your lost GPS and lost communication. You can also, so let's say I want it to be tone. You can go in and select a different tone for that. So let's go and do that one, and boom, okay. So now you have a different sound when your dog goes on point. And you can do that. You can go in and make different sounds for different situations, and that way you don't have to necessarily look at the screen. You can hear it and know what it is. But the real advantage there is going in and finding a sound that you can hear easily. This unit has the ability to have bark detection. So if you're running dogs and they're supposed to bark and you want to be able to get notification on it, this is where you set up your bark detection. All right, you also have your handheld message alerts. Same thing here, you can set them up to tone, vibrate, it's all customizable. And then your inreach tones for messages with your inreach, where it'll tell you if it's sent or if it's received. Same thing there, you get tones and you can pick the sounds for them. Let's talk about tracks. So this allows you to control how your methods are done. When you're recording your tracks, they have a smart or they have every second. Battery saver mode is in the smart. It doesn't use quite as much data, but it's still keeping up with your tracks. Okay, sensors. So there's a few things out here that this will communicate with. Tempi is a temperature sensor. That's an add-on feature. The 0 is their it's an archery thing. And I've got your inreach remotes if you're going to use a different kind of inreach. This allows you to communicate with that also. We'll talk about that in a bit. Routing, same thing there. That's part of the navigation. Information about your system. For those of you that are using broadcast data, that's mainly for the watches. This is where you activate that. Unit should come turned on. That way you can automatically pick up a watch, but if you need to cut that on or off, if you're not using it and you want to cut that off, that's where you do it. And here's where you can change your units, yards, you can change that metric if you want. All right, same thing here with time. You can go with a 12-hour or 24-hour format, and then you can have your time zone. You can select it if you want to, but it'll also pick that up automatically from the GPS satellites. We're still in the setup menu. And inside the setup menu, you have a main menu option. So let's go back here to the home screen. All right, your main menu out of the box is going to have 3 screens of 4 items. All right, and we've talked about the majority of these so far. But what if you don't need one of them? Let's just say that I don't care anything about competition timer. All right. So I want to get that off the screen. So I go to Setup, and then I go down to Main Menu. And in this, we're going to be able to edit our menu things. So I want to get rid of competition timer. So I select it, and then I delete it. Okay. So now I go back, and it's gone. All right, so gotten something out of the way. All right, I want to get rid of navigation because I'm not going to use my unit that way. So I select the item, and I have a couple things I can do here. Let's just say that I want to keep it on there, but I want to move it. I'm going to move it over here, and now I have navigation on this screen. And we go back over here, and location alerts has moved to this screen. And then I want to add a new item here, so I'm going to go into Add Item. It's going to ask me what kind of items. There's 3 different kinds of items. There's application setup or where to. Applications, it gives you a list. Alarm clock. That seems kind of silly. Calculator. You know, you like doing a little math while you're out hunting? Great. There it is. Okay, so we're going to keep that, and we're going to go back to the main screen here. And now I have my calculator. Okay, so once again, this is not something you really need. And so the beauty of the setup main menu is that you can get this stuff off here. So let's get rid of a few. I'm keeping new hunt, I'm keeping dog list. I'm going to keep my waypoint manager, but I'm going to move it, and my track manager. I'm going to move both of those. Okay, so boom, boom, we'll move it over here. I'm going to put it there, and then we'll go back, and I'm going to move this one over to here. All right, and then I am going to get rid of this. So we select it and we delete it. And location alerts, I'm going to move that over to the main screen. Okay. And I'm going to delete the calculator. I'm going to move the waypoint there. All right, I need setup, so I'm going to move it to there. And bird's eye direct, why not? We'll move it here. Let's take a look at your system setup. So several things that are in here, most of which you're not going to need. Satellite is going through a couple of different functions on how the satellites are set up. Language, it's going to ask you when you first turn the unit on what you want it in. Majority of our users are going to want it in English, but there's some other options here if you need them. Mass storage mode, leave that in always. Broadcast dog data. So this is for some accessory items, watches, drive track unit, a couple other things. You want to leave that on if you're using those things. If you're not, it's a smidge of a battery drain, so you can cut that off, but know that you need that if you're using some of the additional things. Units, you can make changes here if you want to. American devices should be coming out in yards, elevation should be in feet, Fahrenheit, and your temperature. Position format is how it gives you some of the exact data on your coordinates. Same thing with time. You can do a 12-hour format, you can do a 24-hour format. Your time zone should be automatic, where the GPS satellites tell you if you change time zones, it should catch on to that. But you can also set it if you want to. That is everything in system setup. Next, we have reset. This is handy if you screw something up. So reset all settings. This is going to put your unit back into the default setting that it comes from straight out of the box. It's not going to get rid of your user data, waypoints, that kind of stuff. It's going to change all your settings back to what they were straight out of the box. But you also have delete all. This will wipe the unit completely. And so if you are selling it, or if you just want to start over, if you're having some sort of issue, or if you just got way too much stuff and you just want to start over, this is where you do it. So this wipes everything off. You can save that information onto your computer. And so if you need to, if you screw up and you need to start over, you can save a file to your computer and then reload that. And this will not affect those extra copies. This is setup about. This is going to give you information particular to your unit. If you're having trouble with it, you have to call in Garmin. They're going to ask you some questions, and this is where you're going to find the information that they're going to be looking for. So this is going to tell you what your software version is. It's going to tell you the unit ID, and then it's going to give you some other information. The IMEI is code that's used for your inreach, and then the only time you're going to need this kind of stuff is either if you're checking a software update or if you are having an issue in warranty, out of warranty, and they need some information off of it. And then it's got all sorts of legalese and gobbledygook down here at the bottom. All right, that's everything on the setup menu. It's a lot of information to take in. And it can drastically affect the performance of your unit or how you want to use the unit. If you have any trouble with this and you're not able to figure it out for yourself, don't hesitate to give us a call. We've got guys on staff that have used these units for years. They understand how to set them up. They can help you customize it to fit the needs that you have. And so just give us a buzz, drop us an email. We'll be more than happy to help you with it.